So for this country shuffle, we just want a really clean, simple sound. And so we're using just the Audient components. We're not using any special preamps. We're not using anything. We're just using the DI and the Audient, and we're using channel 1 as a microphone preamp. And we're going directly into the DAW. Okay, so that white cable on top is going into channel 2, which is the DI. And it's a really splendid sounding DI. It just sounds amazing. Let me just play real quick while you're here. And in the first channel is our RE20, still going through the amplifier and still being mic'd out in my garage studio. And we're using the Audient's pristine converters in channel 1 to bring the bass live and direct to you. And we have no EQ on this whatsoever. We're just going right into the DAW, just as the mic sings it. So this is a typical setting I would use for a metal song. As you can see, the treble is up pretty substantially. I've got the mid-range kind of just sitting where it usually is, and then I've got some low-end boosted as well. Now the real trick to this is going to be to add a distortion pedal to give the treble a little bit of edge. And I've got a special one that I developed myself, made by Ashdown, that focuses the mid-range right where I want it and then distorts it. Okay, so here's this sound. Here's my drive pedal. So for a sound like that, you want a lot of drive, and usually putting an overdrive pedal in front of the amplifier will more than accomplish that, and it's a very familiar and cool tone. Okay, so this is the setting for R&B, and this works particularly well. This is just flat into the amp, so we're just getting a little breakup from that tube, and actually it's all in the bass and in the fingers, so you can just hear that. It's got a nice little bite to the top of it, not a lot of top end, not a lot of low end, but it's just perfect for an R&B, because back in the day they didn't really record all that much low end anyway. This is my active bass. This is a beautiful bass made for me by Randall Fulmer. His company is Win. It's an extremely active bass, as you can see. It's got treble, middle, and bass, and I can shift the mid frequencies higher or lower right here on the bass guitar. And I can also have a passive knob on it to do that passive trick where you kind of take the top end off, and a front and back pickup volume. This bass is made out of several really great woods. There's a big slab of ebony there to reflect the high end back to the pickups. We're going to do a funk song now, and this bass is perfect for that because it's a very thick, dense bass, so it'll just kind of shoot out high frequency all over the place. Now to make this more interesting for you, we've already changed things up a bit. We've done more of a standard recording technique, so I have got the 414 taking that long away picture of 15. I've got the DI going directly to the DAW, and I'm going to run through some pedals before I hit any of that. So both of them are going to get the same thing. I'm not using a clean signal by any means. Come on over here and I'll show you what we got. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this is a funk song, I'm going to use a classic optical envelope. This is by Carl Martin. This is a terrific sounding envelope filter. You may be aware of this if you've heard any of Bootsy Collins' records, a Parliament Funk. It's a really cool tone. Here it is all by itself, my bass without it on. And it sounds like a bass. If I put that on, it goes, wow. Okay, now to keep all that tame so that I can hit it as hard as I possibly want, I'm going to throw in this Cali 76 limiting amplifier, which is actually a compressor. I'm going to turn that on, and that's going to kind of put the signal in a specific range and keep it from peaking out too much and clipping in the DAW. So if I put that on, it all kind of comes together really nice. Okay, so what we're looking at now is this is my funk setting. I've pulled down the tube sound there, you can see that to the lower left, and brought up a little low end, brought down the mids, the lower mids and the mid mids, and brought up the higher mids, and then pushed that treble way up there and even gave it a little more on top. And that's how you kind of get that really cool. And without the envelope filter, the bass sounds like this. And that is an active bass going through the preamp and into a direct and then into some pedals.